Hello, beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is. And this is a beautiful place here. I don't know if I'll be around here, to do a walk around because it is really beautiful. I'm just sitting here right now in the shade, relaxing for a bit as I make this video. So anyway, thank you for all of you who have been here, loving and supporting Starlight. Thank you for those of you who watch my videos, give me thumbs up, or even share these videos. It's so important. I just put some videos that are so freaking important, and please share those videos because you want to see people get these videos because there's really important. I don't know what the heck that was. What was that? Oh, that's another. It was a baby worm. I mean, a baby caterpillar. That's a little small thing, but so anyway, besides caterpillars falling out of the tree, Starlight's here. But thank you for those of you who do watch my videos and share my videos or even leave me a comment. Please, it really helps other people by doing this, besides the YouTube algorithm, and it helps me to spread these videos out, because if you want to see the change in the world, and that's how this works, is by sharing these videos so then other people can find them and think about what they're doing, because a lot is going on in this world. So anyway, I love you, and thank you for those of you who are here watching videos and all that. Also, if anybody would love to send any love donations, you can through my Cash App, and I will have the information here. Ping, there it is. And before I start this video, hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and you can find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you could give my videos a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't forget the notification bell, and you can leave me a message down below, beep, 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 and you can share my videos with your family or friends. Plus, don't forget my playlist, and you can also find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. Now today is another important video, and I don't think I've ever talked about this topic. It's about stop being nice. That 4-letter word, nice. What does that mean? I've had a lot of people out in my lifetime. You're a nice lady, Starlight. Starlight, you're a nice lady. Starlight, you're a nice lady. Starlight, you're a nice lady. And then I found out, later on, through my mentor, what, the old definition of nice meant. And it's kind of funny because, you think about it. Have you ever had anybody say that was nice of you to do that? And a lot of times, people will do this stuff, say things to you, sometimes because I've been guilty. This is how I get this information sometimes, because I've been guilty of doing something long time ago, but I didn't feel right about it. I felt guilty about it. It's, when somebody gives you something and then you're like, ooh, I hope they give me more. Hey, that was really nice of you to do that. So, you got to really watch out, because really it's kind of like that was, that energy. There's people out there, they just want to take from you, and Starlight is a giver. I mean, I get messages from the universe and say, you give people things without expecting anything in return, and that is how it should be. And I used to practice doing this even when I went to church, when people were saying, because if you've been in church, you know what I'm talking about, especially the Catholics out there. Oh my, I have to say, I'll tell you what, I don't really know a lot about other kind of churches out there, but I have to say the Catholics out there, if you are a Catholic, you know what I'm talking about, because I used to clean for a beautiful elderly lady, and she was like my mom figure, a mom that I wished, she was she was such a great lady, and she was a sweetheart. But she did pass away, and I would work for her for an hour and sit with her for an hour, just to, because she was up in her years, and she had two beautiful daughters that were there. They were taking really good care of her mom. There was no doubt in that at all. They were super sweet to their mom, always calling up on, checking, because that lady was an awesome mother, and but I felt my heart went out to this elderly lady, because she couldn't even get to church, because she had strokes, and it really messed her up for getting around, thinking right, talking, and all this stuff. And that's what ended up happening eventually, is it was time for her to leave, and be free from all that suffering that she was going through. But the envelopes, they would come to her house from the church, not even do a church service, just come knock on the door, come stay for a little bit, and give her a whole bunch of envelopes just to take her money. So lots of envelopes, and she would talk to me about these things. We were having great conversations. We didn't hold back. We said what we wanted to say. We had a beautiful relationship, and being nice, I'm learning. It's great to be kind to people, treat people with respect when you're out in public. But I'll tell you what, stop being nice, because you know what? It's a way of putting our guard down. And it might not make any sense when you hear this, but there's people that have done this many times in my life to me, is taken my kindness as a weakness, and it's not a weakness, is that I've had many people take advantage of me, because I was so given, Here, you want? Here, I'll take this off. Yeah, Starlight. You want this shirt? Actually, Starlight needs other clothes. I need some more dark clothes so I can go hiking. So being nice sometimes, when you are so given, it's great to give and it's great to help out, but you got to be careful with this. Is there's people that you could give them stuff, and they want more and more and more, and that's what you got to watch out. Or they now they might just come around because you love to give. They come in your house, and I've had people do this many times to me. Hang on. Tricksters out there. Is you could invite them in your house, which, I'll tell you what, that's the only way the devil can come in your house, is by you inviting them in. So anyway, you invite them in. It's good to really know people before you invite them in your house. I'm serious. You don't know what you're doing if you just invite anybody. Get to know them. Have them outside, Get to know them a long time before you invite them in your home, especially if you got a family. It's really it's a wise thing. Learn from Starlight, her past lessons that she had to learn, is be careful of the kind of people you bring in your house, because you could invite people in your house, and this is why people that love materialism, or material girl, people that are always going out buying stuff, shopping, decorating. I was into arts and crafts in my apartment. I was all about art. That was my thing, art, and really nobody even came to my apartment. So I was buying this from myself. I was buying this from me. And is that there's people out there that they buy stuff to decorate their houses so they can invite people into their homes, so they can hey, look at all my stuff in here. Well, I tell you what, you're setting yourself up, because now you're inviting people in your house, and there's people out there, they've learned this. They might have learned it when they were a kid, all the way through an adult, but they'll be like, wow, and it's the energy that they're putting out is, wow, I like this here, And it's an energy. They want it. They actually want that. They want to take it home with them. And you're such a given person. Once they know that you're such a given person, that you might actually give it to them, because you might have gave them many things, and they're just going to come back and see what else you got. What else do you got? What else do you got here, man? So you really got to really think about how you are with people out in the world, and even with strangers, or men, women, depending on what sex you are, is, what? It's putting your guard down is when we are too nice, and there's things that we can catch people doing and, know that they're not being real with us. But, it takes time to reprogram ourselves and not let people take advantage of us. It takes time. We were so used to letting people take advantage of us, but then there's, it's layers to to reprogram yourself and say, what, is that you gotta, really protect yourself. You don't want to set yourself up for people to take advantage of you. And relationships, like men, be honest. Number one, be honest with the people. If you're sensing something, if something, listen to your intuition. Really, 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 really listen to your intuition. If something feels off, something is off. I actually was in a different town, and I'll tell you what, the energy sucked. Did I stay around? Absolutely not. I went to the bathroom. I wanted to meditate. But the energy, I don't know the kind of people, and the town was rough looking, rough, so the energy sucked. And I'm like, I am getting the blank out of here. I don't know what it is. I don't need to stay around either, to wait around. I don't need to investigate this. It just, something feels a little eerie out here, and it was in the middle of nowhere kind of a place. And so you gotta really pay attention to what your intuition says, really be honest with people, and I'm talking to myself right when I'm talking to you. A lot of times that's what this is on my YouTube channel. Pastors and preachers do this when they preach. A lot of times they're preaching to themselves, but hey, I got a message for all of us. I want to share. Certainly wants to share. So we all can work on these things. Is you got to be careful, because you don't want people just thinking that, hey, I could just take from you, because there are people out there, there's givers like me, but there's other people out there, they're just takers. They want to take from you, and that's what you got to watch out for. And when it comes to like with me being a female, I got to be real with men that come to me. I'm gonna always have some person that is gonna discover me somewhere when I'm traveling. Right now I don't have my stickers. Right now I don't have my stickers on my car. So, but I got New York plates on my car. That's like a foot in the door kind of deal. I just had a guy last night, an older man. I seen him on a trail. And he had his dog and his cane, and I just said, "Oh, it's great that you guys are out here." And so we got talking. But I had things I had to do. It's like I'd be kind to this man, and then I gotta get going. And but then he saw me near my car, which I was. I had to get going. It was my time to get going. I was having phone issues, so you gotta really let people know. Don't lie to people about stuff. Be real with people. And is that there's a lot of players out there, men and women, and that's what you gotta, even your family, you gotta be careful. Is that my family, nobody knows me right now. Nobody knows me. They're just, they didn't know me, even my old version of myself. There might have been, they didn't understand me, they didn't get me, I always had to act a certain way around each certain family, I couldn't be myself around my brother. When my brother was here, I could be myself around him. You know, I didn't have to have a filter around him, you know, and it felt great to be able to do that. I didn't have to feel, you know, but there's some things, of course, you know, I had to keep to myself. But, you know, and that's what you got to watch out for, is that when you open that door, being too kind, too nice, you know, out there, it is good to give people a hand, but a lot of times we're putting our guard down for like our wall. Well, we don't want to have a wall really, but we need to protect ourselves from people out there. So you got to really really be straight with people, and it's not easy. It takes time, you know, especially when you're letting go of old versions of yourself. So your old version would let people run over top of you, right? You know, where now it's like, you know what, I'm learning, if somebody says, hey, you want to go do something, I don't always have to say yes to everything that everybody wants me to do. That was an old version of myself. You know, do you want to come over the weekend? I didn't want to come over the weekend, but my old version said yes. And then I'm beating myself up. I'm like, why did you say yes, Darlene? Why did you say yes? You didn't want to go there. You wanted to go out and hiking. Why did you say yes? Hey, can you bring me to the store? I don't want to bring you to the store. Do I have to bring you to the store? You know, you got to learn, because the more we say yes to everybody, you know, there's times that I've had family members, they could have got help from somebody else, but they didn't. They lived right in the same area. They offered them the same, you know, hey, I could take you to the Walmart store. They lived right there. You know, they don't have a car. But no, they want me to drive an hour away to go there, then to drive another hour to go to the store, and then an hour, you know, that would have been like, like 4 hours of my day, and that's just driving, you know, that's not even visiting. So there goes my, you know, half of my day, you know, because I'm afraid to say no. I'm afraid to say really what I need to say. You know, a lot of times we feel guilty about saying no to people, and that's where we all need to get healed. That's where we all need to let go of those old versions. It takes time. You know, when we get sick and tired of being used, you know, eventually, you know, when we say no long enough, they'll get tired of asking. They might not even, how come you don't call me up anymore? You know, the phone's kind of quiet. You know, where that is what you got to watch out for, is, you know, I get a lot of people wanting my telephone number. No, I'll take your number, but I'm not giving you my number. You gotta really stand up for yourself and not let people run over top of you. And, you know, if don't say a yes when it's a no to yourself. You know, thank you for my mentor. I learned a lot from him, you know, and that is what you need to do, is listen to yourself, you know, listen to what is going on inside of you, and don't let people put you on a guilt trip. I've had to go through this my whole life with people, you know. I was trying to get brave, you know. I felt guilty, you know, about saying no to my family. I felt guilty about saying no to anybody. So many times I said yes when it was a no to myself, and it sucks. Because there goes, you know, then later on when I get to my house and the whole day's done with, I'm upset with myself because I let them do this. It's not, you know, it's a test. It's a test. Universe is always testing us, using all kinds of people, putting people in your path, you know, to test you out, you know, and that is what you really got to protect yourself. Even women, you know, protect yourself from women. If you're even a guy or a girl or whoever you are, it doesn't matter what sex you are, is, you know, just, you know, people sometimes they read you really well, and they're like, yeah, I see you, I can get from you, I can take from you. Women are, you know, a lot of women are really good at that, and I'm not saying all of them, because I'm not like that, you know. I never really was a materialistic person, really, most of my life. In my past, I didn't even have the money to go out and buy anything, but everything is different now because I'm abundant. I am wealthy, I am rich, and so the I ams are so important. So, you gotta stand up for yourself, and stand your ground. And that even goes with your, when I say family, that even means, I have to say it, your kids. I'll tell you what, you put your guard down long enough, I'll tell you what, anybody will learn certain things about you, and then they'll just keep coming to you. You might have people in your life right now, the only time they're around is when they need something. After that, they're gone. Where are they? And I have two grandsons. One I can't be in contact with, and the other one, he's little, 6.5 or so right now. So, is with your grandkids or your kids, you got to teach them, because when you however you are with your kids, if they think that they can always take from you, a lot of kids do this to their families. A lot of them. They're adults. They're out of the house. They got in trouble somehow or another. They, weren't spending their money right. Something happened. They could have made a lot of mistakes, and a lot of parents just give them whatever they want. They just give them what, I've heard lots of parents complain throughout this journey that parents are just, hey, it's my kids. I've heard people that I know, when it comes to their birthday, because throughout their life, you goof up in the beginning if you give your kids a lot of money and a lot of toys when they're little, and each year they get more and more and more. Guess what? Now they're adults, could be 20-something years old, and it might have started out little and it grew and grew. Every year they expect more, and if you don't give them, now you don't have enough money to, this year you're going to cut them short this year for the birthday, and they explode. It's like $200, What? That's all you're going to give me? Because that's what you're going to create. You're going to create those kind of little monsters out there. They're not even grateful for what you're giving them. So if you keep on feeding them, they're going to treat other people the same way that they treat you. I'm telling you. Because they got away with it with you, and they're just going to do that to other people. I don't even, I have to say with my kids, I don't even have to worry about that. I love both of my kids, and I don't have those issues, but you got to be careful even with your grandsons and your granddaughters, what you do to them, how you, what are you teaching them? Think of it really, is it, every time that you show up, do you always have to give them stuff, because after a while, they're going to learn that, show up with nothing, you don't have to always go there with nothing. You know what? When I visited my grandson, guess what I gave him? It's so funny. I found almost like a perfect round oval rock that I found out in the woods. And what else did? And I found a perfect round ball. It was almost so perfect. Not a round ball, a round rock. Nature stuff, And then I bought him like a gift because it was his birthday. But you know what? These were nature things. I'm like, hey. And the other thing I gave him on this trip is that because I went to a glass beach, and it's so beautiful to go to the glass beach, is I collected all this little pieces of glass, and you can't get cut from this, so stop yelling at me. And I was saving it, and it had ocean water in there, and I had that in my vehicle, and I don't know why. I just wanted to take some and put it in my car, and then when I went to my grandsons, I actually cleaned it all out, and I gave them natural stuff, and the stuff that came from outside. I didn't have to go out and mice, you over spoil them, those kids, when they're little. You don't want them to always just think of you as as a store. I'm not a store. I'm not going to spoil my grandson, spoiled rotten. Let somebody else do that. Starla is, you got to be wise on that. You got to teach your grandkids and your kids. It's not all about this stuff. Go take them for a nature walk. That's what I do with my grandson. Let's go out for a nature walk. Let's go outside. Get out of the house. Those are, by teaching them stuff, wisdom and knowledge. I love, with my grandson, it's not about going out and giving him a whole bunch of junk. If I'm going to buy my grandson something, it's going to be something that he's going to use, that he can grow with. He can learn stuff. It's not stuff that's going to just get, a toy. What is the toy for? Is it going to help him to grow? Is it going to help him to learn? I didn't even pick this out, but I was trying to figure out what to get him for his birthday, but it was something that I wouldn't even have picked, but somebody said, hey, get this for him. And it's just a book and I thought that's not going to last long, but it has a pen, and so it's some kind of electrical thing with the book. Is when you take the pen and you put it underneath the word, it will say the word every time, so then you can learn to read. After a while, I didn't think that was going to work anyway. Where is that gift anyway? But you really do. You want to, educate your kids. If you're going to give your kids gifts and stuff like that, think of things of, that clothes is great. Yes, clothes. That way, if they are reaching out to you for stuff, you're giving them, things that they really need that will help them grow. That to me is okay, because it's helping them to grow. But getting all this other stuff, and, it is better that way for them, or take them out for a nature trip somewhere. Those are the best gifts you can give your kids, really, because, when they see you, it's all going to be about learning about stuff, growing, and going out for nature trips. It's not going to be coming to you all the time and, or even fattening food and food that's not good. You want to teach your kids and your grandkids, hey, if you're going to come to me, it's all going to be good stuff. I'm going to give you all the healthy stuff. Hey, instead of that, cookies and sweets, I'm going to give you fruit, So these are just things with your children and people that, you really want to teach what you do to your kids. It really has they will learn something from what you're teaching them. They can learn great things from you, so they, it goes deep. You never know how far one thing that you do to them or teach them, how it can impact their life in a negative way or a positive way. So you really got to really be careful what I am doing with my son or my grandkids or my granddaughter. How is this going to affect them with other people? How is this going to, you got to really think of this, because it's not just about you and them. It could affect them, like, hey, here's another one. I got to throw this in here since we're here. Is you got to really be careful of this, because it can backfire later on when they're adults. Is, when I used to think this way when I was younger, is to always pay your grandkids or your kids money to do something. Here, do this. They need to learn to do it without always having something handed to them, because you know what? God doesn't always give me something right after I get done doing something, but there is times I do something and God does reward me. But there's many times I work hard, and God's just saving it up. It's all getting saved up, and then I didn't expect, I didn't receive anything that whole time, and then before you know it, one day I need something, and God's seen all the work that I did, and bam, I get rewarded. God doesn't give me something every single time I get done doing something, and you need to teach your kids that, and your teenagers and your grandkids that, if you want them to do something, they got to learn to do that without always having something handed to them, because it could really backfire later on, where a stranger could say, hey, I got to, they could say, hey, I'll pay you to do this for me, So you really got to be careful, because you don't know really how that's going to how they're going to really perceive all of what you're teaching them later on, when they get adults. You really got to be cautious of what you're teaching them as children. So anyway, I love you so much. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace. Thank you for watching. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace.